Hi, everyone. Welcome back to ONYX Pages for the second session of our slow read of Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. Thanks, babe. Oh, thank you for my mug. Octavia E. Butler. And while we're waiting for people to get into the chat today, and as you do, let us know who you are, where you're from, and all the things. But for those who are watching afterwards, I want to give you a bit of a recap as to where we've been. So we started reading Parable of the Sower last week, Saturday. Today is Friday, March 25th, I want to say. And thank you, babes. And this is the second of 3 slow reading sessions for Parable of the Sower. The goal was for us to complete the first 10 chapters of the book, and then start today on the 11th chapter. I have failed in my efforts. I'm almost there, so I'm going to have to motor a little bit to catch up with the deadline I set for myself and for all of us. But the goal was to read up to that point so that we could read together again and find our way to the next 100 or so pages today. My goal was to do 3 half-an-hour sprints. Instead of doing that, I think the first sprint is going to be a little bit longer because I need to catch up. So the first sprint will actually be 45 minutes. And then we'll see where we are. So Parable of the Sower follows 15-year-old Lauren Olamina, who lives in a cul-de-sac called Robledo in California, in a sort of in the middle, actually, of this apocalypse. So this is obviously the U.S. It's set in 2024, or 2025, 2024, 23. Let me make sure. But it's nowish, next couple of years. And her dad is a minister, a Baptist minister, and she lives with her dad and her stepmom and her siblings in this walled off cul-de-sac. And the reason it's walled off is because the society is in absolute chaos. There is a lot of poverty. There is a lot of violence. There is a drug going around that makes people want to cast fires, and it's just a really uncomfortable place to live. So in the first part, in what we read last week, for those who started at the same time, we meet Lauren Olamina. We meet her as a 15-year-old. We learn about the times through her eyes. We learn that she's about to get baptized and she doesn't believe in the God of her father. We learn that she is struggling with what's happening around her. In some ways she's kind of like, is this it? Is this what are we doing? Right? How do we survive this? And as she's thinking about these things, we obviously know that she's developing a set of principles called Earthseed, right? And these principles are being developed in harmony with her own resistance to what's happening in society, and her own discomfort and resistance with her father, who's the leader of the community, her father's approach to survival. And I will say that this is probably the sixth time I've read Parable of the Sower, and I'm really appreciating Lauren's youth, and how creative she is. I think it's a good exercise to try and remember what you were like at 15 and how you responded to what was going on in the world around you. So for those who are reading with me, like, just connecting to your 15-year-old self might be a really good way to connect to to connect to Lauren Olamina as you're reading with us. So I see that a number of you are coming in. Hello. I'm going to just put you on screen a little bit. So hi, Sarah. Nice to see you. Hi, Regina Renee. Hi, Alba. Oh, gosh. Alba. Yes. Hello. And hi, Alicia. And Wonder. Hello. And anyone else, if you are on, please feel free to just put in the chat who you are and if you want where you're reading from. And I did have a question before we get into our first sprint, which will be 45 minutes. And my question is, how do I frame this? So what are you observing about the ways in which Lauren Olamina is creating Earthseed, the Earthseed verses? Like, what are you observing? How would you describe her process as she creates this religion, this belief system? What does that look like for you? And what are you noticing? So I guess I'd like you to comment on that, about what you're noticing, and I'll just put that question in the chat just to reflect it'll be a pre-sprint reflection question. What are you observing about Lauren Olamina's process of developing the Earthseed principles? Okay. Anybody want to share your thoughts? I will just lean over and grab my book. I think I'm on page 82. I want to say 82, 80. I was hoping to get to page 100, so I will eventually get there. No, I'm good. As I couch surf, literally couch surf. Yeah, I'm on page. Oh, wait, am I? What did I reach? Yeah, I reached page 83. Yeah, 2025. Okay. Oh, that's the question. What are you observing about Lauren Olamina's process for developing the Earthseed principles? And you're welcome, Trey. Thanks for joining. And hi, Maria. Looking forward to when you get home. Get home safe, please. All right. So, Alicia, it seems when she experiences something, she gets insight. Yeah, right? It seems like when she experiences something, she gets insights for Earthseed. So she's, she's upset about something. So on the page that I'm on, 82, Olamina Lauren is eavesdropping on a conversation between her and her dad and her stepmom, I think. And wait, hold on. Oh, no, sorry. In this passage on page 82, she has a conversation with her father and she says, what would you do if they attacked us, right? Where would you go? And he says, well, maybe I would go to the college, because he is a college professor, because they allow employees in, they protect employees on the campus if they're attacked or if their houses are burnt down. And then she says, well, why wouldn't you go to Canada? Why wouldn't you go north? And he's like, well, this is my home. I paid for it. I don't want to run from my home. And those places are not any better. Nobody wants Californians. Washington is not letting us in. Canada is shooting at people from the borders. So why would we leave, right? I would just hold down the fort. And so she doesn't agree with that. And, and then right after that interaction with her father, she writes in her journal, a tree cannot grow in its parents' shadows, right? And so it's like Earthseed is a repository, right, for her reflections and her thoughts and her frustrations. And that's what I love about, she's 15. She's 15. I think about the kind of things I thought about my parents' views when I was 15, and I wasn't writing no new religion, but I perhaps should have. Here where she thinks about on page 77, at the beginning of chapter 7 is one of my favorite chapters. And here, it's preceded by the end of chapter 6, obviously, that's basic math. And this is where she overhears a conversation between her stepmom and her dad. And in that conversation, it's about the shooting, right? What will we do? And how do we survive? This is after the rabbits were stolen, and and she's thinking about, like, what's the purpose of all of this? What would we do if my father died? And he says, live. I want you to live. He says this. So Corey, the stepmom, says, what are we supposed to do if you die? She demanded. And I think she was crying. So this is Lauren eavesdropping on her father and stepmom. What do we do if they shoot you over some damn rabbits? And dad says, live. That's all anyone can do right now. Live, hold out, survive. I don't know whether good times are coming back again, but I know that won't matter if we don't survive these times, And so she's thinking about this, thinking about survival, what the point of all of this is. And then she says, that was the end of their talk. I lay in the dark for a long time thinking about what they had said. Corey was right again. Dad might get hurt. He might get killed. I don't know how to think about that. I can't write about it, but I can write about it, but I don't feel it. On some deep level, I don't believe it. I guess it's as good as denial as, and I guess I'm as good at denial as anyone. So Corey is right, but it doesn't matter. And Dad is right, but he doesn't go far enough. And then she starts thinking about God. God has changed, and in the end, God prevails. And then that's the end of chapter 6. She goes on a little bit. Chapter 7 begins with, we are all God's seed, right? And so it's as though, she's translating all of this dissonance that she's experiencing in the world around her. And out of this chaos, she's creating an order that's called Earthseed. And it's just phenomenal. Seems like she's reacting and observing to the events around her and her community 100%. Hi, Sarah D here, joining from the Pacific Northwest. Hello. I'm impressed by Lauren's observations and synthesis of what's happening around her. Yeah, observations and synthesis. Synthesis is so apt. I agree. Regina Renee, she recognizes her own need to process through the act of writing. She also observes others and recognizes where they are without trying to make her experience theirs. Yeah, she really is so good at that discernment, isn't she, Regina Renee? And even though it's almost as though she bounces off of them and uses what she's observing about the adults around her, because she's so frustrated that she's so young, right? She's using what she's observing, and she really doesn't like the hypocrisy, and it's shaping her response, right? Her resistance is creating contours, right? The boundaries of her beliefs, where her beliefs end and their beliefs begin. She's demarcating that line and calling that Earthseed, which I think is quite beautiful. And Octavia B. Butler's way of demonstrating that is really beautiful. Yeah, as she explains, the verses are observations. Yes, that quote, right? And I think due to her hyper empathy, she observes a God that is detached from emotion. Say more about that, Trey. Recently been thinking a lot about detachment and how that helps us to love unconditionally. I feel you on that. Yeah, that's really interesting. I'd love to hear more about your thoughts about the relationship between her hyper empathy, um, and her observation of a detached God. Because yeah, I'd love to hear about that opposition you're setting out. All right. Well, we have certainly canvassed the ground. We are 15 minutes in. We should probably read a thing, shouldn't we? Let me get the 45-minute timer. Hopefully, Maria, you will be home at that point, and you can join us in the chat for real. But glad you're here. All right, let's get it. We're gonna share the screen. Chrome tab. There we are. Okay. And reset. Okay, happy reading. See you in 45 minutes. Okay. First important question, Maria, are you home safe? Literary Witch, hello. Love your videos. Glad to see you here. Hello. And so folks, while you are coming out of the 45-minute sprint, please put in the chat where you are in Parable of the Sower and what's happening right now. And I do have a question for you about the story so far. So what's building for you? Where's the tension for you right now in what you're reading? I'm very curious about that. And Trey Legal. Oh, let me write that down. Oh, okay. Hi, Tati. Okay, so question, where's the tension for you right now? In the story, obviously, not your body. Okay. So Trey Legal, I asked you to explain your thoughts on the connection between hyper empathy and the detached God. And you said, I think the God in Christianity relies on favor and a father figure who loves their children. Okay. And as she observes the conditions around her, I think she can't compute that God will allow the current conditions. Yeah. And in fact, she actually says that in the first couple of chapters. She's very, very clear that she doesn't believe, she doesn't find that the Christian God of her father is working and that the principles associated with his religion make any sense. But you know what's really interesting? I think it's interesting to see how her father strategically uses certain certain books of the Bible, certain passages to influence the community. So when Keith messes up, he goes to the 10 Commandments, and preaches honor, thy father and thy mother, and thou shalt not steal, right? And then after his first argument with Lauren about when Julia betrays Lauren and tells her parents, who then tell Lauren's father that Lauren is talking crazy about wanting to leave the community. And Lauren and her father end up getting into that like fight about principle and so on. It turns out that the next sermon is about like community, so it's kind of like Christianity and being a sermon. Tommy's watching Bridgerton and is like distracting me. She's going like this. I don't know why. But anyway, it's interesting that the references to church and to the Bible are all very strategic, it seems, at this point. So I'm very interested in the parallels between Lauren and her father and how both use principles in order to like make meaning and out of what's happening around them. Glad you're home, Maria. Hi, Tati. Yeah, we went in. We started. We started. You're about to start chapter 11. Awesome. That was my question. Wonder, halfway through chapter 16. Where am I? I'm just starting chapter 11. So that's where I am. Okay. So the tension right now, the 10 Commandments, no killing, no stealing versus survival. Exactly. Alicia, You're at chapter 13. Thieves are setting fire and robbing while neighbors fight the fire. The tension is deciding to stay or leave. Yeah. Magpie Muse. Yeah. Will Lauren stay or leave? Dun, dun, dun. Okay. And yeah, there's so much tension in the story. So much tension. So I'll just wait a few more seconds to see if anybody else wants to tell us where they are right now in the story and where the tension is. Okay. And we're going to go into, oh my God, it's Josh. Hello. Nice to see you, friend. You're on chapter 19 and you just read book 2 in September. Oh, you read Parable of the Talents first. Cool. You're thinking about how it's building to the larger story in part 2. For me, the tension is in Lauren's goals and the obstacles that face this new community. Yeah. Okay. I wonder, Josh, what you think about the passage where she talks about the development, like the space travel and the development on Mars. Yeah, I can't remember where that was, but it was at the end of a chapter, so that's interesting. Okay. All right. So we're going to do another long sprint. Why are we doing these long sprints? Because we have to, because then Jerry needs to catch up. So my goal is that I will be able to get through to, I only want I don't want more than 115 pages to read for tomorrow. I don't want to leave a lot for me to do. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to get through basically 100 pages tonight or close, 100 more pages. So who knows? We'll see. Let's see where 45 minutes gets us. Okay. All right. So I am going to set the timer again. And we will do our second sprint. Okay, Josh, I'll get your comment in. This is a reread of Sower. You intentionally read Talents for the first time in December in preparation for a full series reread with a slow read. I like it. Glad you're here. Okay. All right, so I will set us up for our next sprint. Happy reading, everyone. See you in 45. We're going deep tonight. Hi, everyone. So, welcome back from our second sprint. We're going to do one more sprint before the end of today. So, where are you in your reading? And I'm just thinking about a question. So, Parable of the Sower takes place in California. Why? Why do you think she chose California? First question. And then the other question is, what else has she told us about what's happening in the rest of the United States, the rest of North America, and the world? And this really is a very, very narrow, very, very like small part of the world that she's taking us to. And why do you think that is? That's my question. So for me, I am now on page 162. So I'm doing pretty well today, and I'm looking forward to hopefully getting to, even if I get to 200, I think that'll be great, because then tomorrow I'll only have 130 pages to read. So yeah, I think I'm going to try and get to 200, which is 38 more pages. If my math is right, who knows? So yeah, what are your thoughts and what are folks saying? Josh. Oh, already said that. Okay. The notion of, oh yes. So before the break, I asked you what you thought about the excerpt in which Lauren says that, where she talks about like, it makes more sense for humans to inhabit a livable planet somewhere beyond the planets that Earth, like humans had already explored nearby, I think is what she says. So, yeah. The notion of going to space is such a bold goal for people in their position, but I think it is necessary. A victim of God may, through forethought and planning, become a shaper of God. Cool. MJ. I read Sower at the tail end of last year. Right now, I'm reading the graphic novel adaptation by Duffy and Jennings. It's so wild to see this story in the graphic novel medium. Cool. And MJ, are you like the MJ I know, or are you another MJ? Please let me know. Which MJ are you? Yeah, so last year I read what am I even saying? In 2020, I read Damian Duffy and I'm getting tired. What's his name? John Jennings, DD and JJ, J2D2. Yeah, I read the Parable of the Sower. Actually, I thought Parable of the Talents was supposed to come out last year, the graphic adaptation. I wonder what's happening with that. I hope it'll be out in time for us to be able to enjoy it when we read Parable of the Talents. In any event, I remember feeling really drawn into the story, and I liked it. I really liked it. I found that it was easier for me to get into compared to Kindred. All right, so there are 10 of us besides me. There are 11 of us, but 10 of you besides me. What are your thoughts? Okay. Hi, Maya. You sometimes go by MJ. You've been to a few of the Sister Sci-Fi Zoom events. This is your first slow read. So hello, welcome to the slow read. Let's see what others are saying. What comes to mind about California is the water scarcity and that the constant talk of going north elicits thoughts of a more fertile land. Okay. Cool. And I finished this year, I read A Handful of Sky, A Handful of Earth. And in it, Linnell George, I think is her name, talks about Octavia E. Butler's love for the mountains where she lives. And she did a lot of walking and taking public transit as a child and as a young adult. I find that her, and she lived in Pasadena, her life was really interesting. And I think she just really grew to love California. So I guess we're seeing that a little bit in her writing. I feel like Butler, being from Pasadena, was a big influence for the California setting. There are so many environmental factors that govern life in California. Yeah, for sure. It seems like a place of abundance, the valley, Central Cali, but there's also water scarcity, which is probably something she encountered growing up. Okay. Yes, you were thinking about going north. Cool, cool. Walking as a primary mode of transit feels so intentional. Yeah, and there's so much that you can experience by walking that you can't experience in any other way. It's very, very intimate, obviously a very grounded way to experience the earth, the community. Yeah. Okay. So why don't I just do a little check-in? I'm good for I say that I'm good for another 45 minutes, but I'm starting to feel sleepy. So, how much time would you like us to spend sprinting? I think I'm probably not going to get another 45 minutes into me because I am tired. I just felt it. So I'm thinking either 20 minutes or 30 minutes. What would you guys like? What would you like? I would love to get to the page 200. It's not that much. I could probably do that in half an hour. Right? I think so. How much time do you want? Hi, Brittany. I do deserve to chill. It's been a week, as you well know. A shorter sprint sounds good. Maybe 30 minutes. I'm going to nod off. Yeah, seriously. 20 minutes sounds fine. 30 sounds good, but happy to cut it short. 30, let's do it. 20 minutes. 30 minutes. Okay, 25 it is. I love that everybody's like, we'll push through because we have the live show on Sunday and we have to do this. Okay, let me just do 25-minute timer and reset. Share screen. All right, everyone. Happy reading. See you soon. Okay, everyone. We have reached the end of our sprints for today. So, what are your parting thoughts? No specific question, but what are you leaving? What are you leaving your read with, and what are you looking forward to in your last foray into the book? I am at page 182. This is what I have read so far. This is what I have for tomorrow. Um, um, yeah, I see why people really love Parable of the Sower. And it's so interesting, how simple the plot is. I mean, it's obviously not. It's a very, very complex story. But it's just interesting how simple it is. It's steadfast, it's just clear. It's beguiling. I think it wants us to think that it's simple, but it's obviously not. So, what are you leaving with, folks? Or do you just need to go to bed before we end? Okay, so while you are deciding if you're going to share anything before we leave, we've got some folks. So tomorrow we are going to finish things off. Our sprints are going to begin at 7 p.m. Eastern, and I will be hopefully finishing Parable of the Sower. We'll probably do another 45, 45, 20. Hopefully I'll be able to get through everything in that time. We shall see. And then our live show is going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. It will go from 1 to about 2:30, and it'll be wonderful. Tati and I are looking forward to connecting with everyone and talking about Parable of the Sower. So that's going to be wonderful. Okay. You're on page 203, looking forward to more of the journey. Awesome. Maria, you're on page 162 out of 3. Are you reading this from this one? Do we have the same? I think we have the same version then, because I think mine had 328. Yeah. Well, mine has 329. So you're on 162. I'm on 182. Okay, cool. So you hope she finds some community folks that will appreciate and listen to her. Yes. Also, the musical Parable of the Sower is on right now. It was written by Toshi Regan, and at the end of April, it's going to be in DC. So that is a thing that I am intending to make. So that's the thing. Magpie, the theme of trust at this point. Yes, it is rough. What point are you at? Where are you at? Wonder, parting thoughts. Beginning of an Earthseed community, maybe. I hope Lauren finds a community, as she's had to hide and currently hides so much of herself. Yeah. Yeah, appreciate it. Okay. All right, everyone. I want to thank you for being here for session 2 of 3 of the slow read. Before we start again tomorrow and before our live show, if you are rewatching, thank you very much. I hope that you are finding these slow reading sessions useful for you as you read Parable of the Sower. And feel free to leave any comments you need to leave in the comment section. A lot of folks who aren't able to read with us during the Octavia Butler slow read have mentioned that they really appreciate coming back and using these sessions as sort of like a guide or a companion to reading through all of the books. And imagine it's going to be, I mean, I talk about this a lot, but our slow read journey is going to end this year. It will be 2 years, and more than 2 years, actually, September to September. Yeah, it'll be just a little bit more than 2 years that we've been doing this together. And, we are going to have like a full roster of live shows and slow reading sessions that will be available on ONYX Pages going forward for anybody who wants to read through all of Octavia E. Butler's works. So this is super exciting. All right, so I love that you changed your name. So you're excited to hear everyone else's thoughts at the live show once everyone has finished the novel. Yes, thank you. Looking forward to seeing you there. And you're on chapter 17. Oh, you're doing audiobook. Lauren is bizarre. Yeah, so I'm at the point where she's with Zara and Harry as well, and I'm chapter 16. So we're pacing. All right, everyone, have a wonderful Friday evening. Thanks for joining. Thank you for reading with purpose and for reading Octavia E. Butler slowly and luxuriously with us. And I am going to bed. Read with purpose.